I used to be very unhealthy. My diet consisted of pizza, takeaways and cakes, and I used to share a bottle of wine every single night. I was overweight, I was tired and struggling to get through each day. I was addicted to junk food. Today, 5 years later, I found myself able to ignore the unhealthy foods I used to crave, and I don't get tempted by pizza at all, despite the fact I used to eat it almost every single day. What happened? How did I quit my bad eating habits? This isn't one of those videos where I'm going to just sit here and say that you need to stop eating bad food, start eating healthy food, sort your sleep out and drink plenty of water. Yeah, those things are all kind of true, but I want to approach the question of how I quit my bad eating habits a little differently, because it took many small changes in my habits to help move the health needle in the right direction. These changes stacked up, and some of them helped me move the needle more than others. And those are the changes I want to talk to you about today. And one small change I made, I thought would be really hard, but it turned out to be really easy. And this change helped me more than anything else. In the past, I go shopping and see that bold claim of low calories on a packet and assume that it meant that that food was good for me. But it turns out I was wrong. Calories don't actually tell us anything about how good food is for us. If I base my decision on what to eat based on its total calories, I'm not actually looking at what that food contains or how good it is for me. This ultra-processed meal has the same calories as this healthy meal, but what each of those meals does to me is very different. One meal provides nutrients, fibre and encourages muscle growth, and the other meal spikes your insulin, encourages fat storage and provides less nutrients. Even though they have the same calories, the outcome is different. Back in 2019, me and Laura tried the Fast 800 diet, where we restricted ourselves to 800 calories of low carb foods every day. It worked, and we lost weight quickly, but we felt so depleted at times we almost cried.
You're shaking. Are you alright? Just leave me alone!
Calorie restricting is restricting, and when I restrict myself, it only leads to me binging on something at some point and putting all the weight back on again. I haven't actually looked at how many calories there were in anything I've eaten for over 5 years now, and it's something that's worked really well for me. Think of all the healthiest populations in the world, the longest lived populations who don't suffer from the same levels of obesity or disease as we do. None of them count calories, they just eat good food. It also turns out that calories are not that accurate a way of measuring what you're eating or burning off, as what you're counting on those food labels is probably not correct. Errors have been found that overestimate calories for foods such as almonds by over 30%, and manufacturers are legally allowed error rates of up to 20% on their product labels. Many common items, such as processed frozen foods, underestimate calories by up to 70%, and high fibre products by 30%. And that came from this book here, which kind of leads me nicely onto my next point. When we think back, we can't really work out the point at which we decided or started to become unhealthy. It feels like it just sort of happened or came from nowhere. Some people have a health scare or a light bulb moment when they decide to become healthy. And when I look back to around 5 years ago, I can't really remember a light bulb moment. Looking back, it feels like it just sort of happened. So I really did some thinking. I went back over my pictures and messages, really trying to figure out what it was that made me want to be healthier. And then it hit me. I think the main reason that I decided that I wanted to make positive changes and stop eating so much junk food is because I knew just how bad it was for me. I knew what my future looked like if I continued the bad habits. This is the first book that I read about health and food. I didn't used to be a massive reader. I only read at school, and after that, for the next 15 years, I only read Harry Potter. Until one day, I read this book. The 4-Hour Work Week. It took me a few months to get through. I was in a job that I really hated. That was what motivated me to buy that book. And at the time, reading it seemed like a good idea. It was, because I actually did end up quitting my job. But that book, that first self-help book I read, got me into reading for the first time as an adult and made me more receptive to the idea of learning about other things. The Diet Myth was the first book that I read on health. Every page was like a revelation full of information on food and diet that I was totally unaware of at the time. I'd be constantly telling Laura about another fact I'd learned, and this book motivated me to want to make some positive changes. But without knowing just how bad some food was, without knowing or understanding the consequences of my behaviour, I never would have wanted to make any change. None of this stuff gets taught to us at school. We have to seek it out for ourselves as adults in books or podcasts. That first book was a catalyst that set me off on my journey, and 5 years later, I've read over 100 books about this, and I've listened to thousands of hours of podcasts. And with that, my knowledge and understanding of this has completely changed, enabling me to make better decisions. How can anyone truly start making healthier choices or stop eating ultra-processed food without first having an understanding of what that food is doing to us? Going into my local supermarket, I used to buy things without really thinking about it. I based my decision purely on whether or not I liked the product because I was a fussy eater. I'd get whatever was on special offer or reduced, and I'd buy things without really ever considering what it might be doing to me. Today, when I visit a supermarket or shop that sells food, I enter with a state of vigilance, like a meerkat, constantly looking for threats. You kind of have to, because our supermarkets are filled with addictive, unhealthy foods that are positioned in just the right places. I want to feel like I have agency over all the choices in my life, that I'm in control of what I do and the food that I buy. I want to feel like I've chosen my food, not that I've been manipulated into buying something or I've had my decision made for me. I once watched this lady, she was about 70, she was walking up that long stretch of the supermarket where all the seasonal products are placed, and she started at one end and stopped off at literally every single promotional pallet, and she picked up, looked at and put into her basket every single product that she went past. There must have been 6 or 7 items in her basket that just came from these promotional areas. I'm talking biscuits, pouches with sweets and chocolates in, and bars that have been made to look healthy. Now, I'd have been taken in by all these things a few years ago, but now I actively ignore them. If I have my doubts about anything I'm buying, I check the ingredients first. Anything that makes some sort of claim on the packaging about how low fat it is, or how few calories it has, or how much fibres in it, it's probably got things in there that I don't want to be eating. I'm also not perfect. I've been guilty of occasionally buying something that I regret later. Life can be hectic and busy, and at times I don't have the capacity to make rational health choices, and I just make bad decisions. These moments can sometimes repeat themselves, and that leads to the return of the bad habits you are actively trying to stop. And it turns out there's an easy trick for when moments like this happen. I slip up. I'll have the biggest and heaviest cake I can find, even though I know how bad it is for me. And after I've done it once, I want to do it again. Slipping up once is to be expected. Twice is common, but that's where I try and make it stop. I try not to repeat any bad habit more than twice. See, I find myself eating cake after months without it, and then the next day I want to do it again. If I allow that to continue every day, the bad habit will just creep back into my daily routine and the weight will pile back on again. I like to live by the never miss twice mantra. It helps me to stay on course with anything good that I want to accomplish in life, whether it's reading with my children, going to the gym, eating good food, or starting a new project. It is very common for people who have experienced extreme levels of weight loss to eventually put all of that weight back on again. This didn't happen to any of those people overnight. They simply returned to their bad habits and allowed those bad habits to happen over and over again over a period of weeks, months and years without any adjustment. Now, this next trick is the one I thought would never work, but it turned out to be the most beneficial thing that I ever did on this journey. I didn't actually quit my bad eating habits, I just replaced them. I used to drink 3 or 4 cans of Pepsi Max every single day. Stopping that and going cold turkey would have felt depriving. So I switched to Pepsi for water with orange squash in it. Gradually, over time, that was reduced and eventually became just water. If I make myself feel like I'm missing out on something, like I'm depriving myself of anything I used to eat or drink, I eventually find myself back to my old ways. It was much healthier for me to eat a piece of sourdough toast after the children had gone to bed each evening than to eat an entire pizza. Eventually, I stopped the sourdough. It helps stop that feeling of being deprived. Switching unhealthy foods to healthy ones is often assumed to be depriving because a lot of people, and even I used to believe this, think that healthy food is boring. The only way to stop eating pizzas all the time is to switch it for meals that are even nicer and tastier. So much so that you'd never want to go back to eating pizza again. And this is where I found myself. After going on holiday last year and really struggling to find anything healthy, I found myself feeling really deprived. I felt deprived of enriching and healthy foods. Once I got that tasty meal down myself after 5 days of missing out, I felt this surge of positivity and energy coursing through my very being. Plain lettuce, carrot sticks and hummus is not healthy. It's depriving and unsustainable. This used to be my vision of healthy food. It turns out the nicest healthy meals have 15 or 20 ingredients in it, full of texture and flavour that make you want to come back for more and not make you want to pick up your phone and browse through Just Eat. Those are the biggest needle moving changes that I made to my everyday life that enabled me to quit ultra-processed foods. Maybe you're on this journey too. What have you found to be the best habit changes or things that you've done to stay away from junk? Let me know in the comments below.